looks fine, John.
Okay, good, thanks.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Today is September 1st, and we're here for our regular meeting, Board of Trustees, at 5 o'clock.
Call the roll. Mr. Genowine. Here. Mr. Crandall.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Simcoe. Here.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did we have any questions, additions, or deletions to the August 18th meeting?
I do not have any.
Okay.
Well,
Yes, I have one under discussion. If you recall, I mentioned that I'm going to do SCAT. Neil's got a conflict in his schedule, so. And I gave Dave a correction to the minutes, if that looks all right.
so it'll just read, John Crandall will become the SCAT representative since Neil Mahoney has a scheduling conflict with the meetings. So if that's all right, we'll amend the minutes to that, to include that addition. And with that amendment, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll offer a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, calling the roll. Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Okay, we got it.
Thank you. Hearing of the public, John.
We have two people signed in. It's really not an agenda item, but I think it has to do with zoning. So after Darrell gives his report, I think he's showing about.
Okay. Just a few, we'll get zoning next, and we'll get right with you guys, so thanks for coming. Darrell, you're up.
Good evening. I just have one item on the agenda, that is Resolution 15101, authorization of abatement for the properties located at 6047, 6049 Red Oak Drive, and 2332 St. James Wood Boulevard.
Is the Red Oak properties transferred ownership?
Not, I looked on Aries, I think it was probably yesterday, and it still had.
Okay. Do they plan on selling those, or?
I have never had a response
House fire was
from.
many years ago? Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Is that where the house fire was?
Red Oak? No. Well, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Never mind, then I had it confused with a different parcel. Sorry.
Darrell, thanks for getting on that St. James Woods, too, that email
Sure.
came
no
out.
problem.
Thank you.
I'll move to pass Resolution 15101, authorization of abatement of various properties.
Second.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. If you would now, I think if.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Hearing.
Is it Tom Young?
Yes.
Hi, Tom. If you don't mind, just come up to the DS and just introduce yourself if you could, and just so we got your name, number on record, so. Oh, okay, thank you.
I got a bunch on my phone also.
Okay.
Pass them around. I live at 5625 Webster Drive, and the neighbor behind us has brought in a ton of dirt, and he keeps raising it. He probably raised it 5 to 6 feet, which is my septic tank in Leachfield is in the back, and now it's going to be to me, it's going to be a big problem. There's pictures, I have more. I'd like somebody to look at it, and hopefully we can get the dirt removed.
Are they putting a septic system back there, or just
No,
balancing their
he's
site
just
out?
bringing in
Or
dirt.
bringing fill, wow.
There's nobody living there. I don't know if he's getting it for free. We talked to him. He ignores us. He keeps bringing it in. He brought in, I think there's 10 more loads today he brought in. It's already higher than my fence.
Sure. Darrell, have you seen these pictures yet? Yeah, well, when you get a chance, yeah, you might want to take a look at these
We're
also.
familiar with it.
Okay.
I'll just speak to
Oh, you are? No?
Were you-
I'm done, that was it. I just wanted you to see the pictures and would like to see somebody come out and look at it. And that was it.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to bring those in.
What was your street, sir? Webster?
Webster.
Webster.
Oh, Webster, oh, got it, okay.
And the
Webster.
address is 5626 Rudyard that we're talking about with all the dirt.
5626.
Oh, he's behind you?
Rudyard.
Is he behind you then?
Right behind me.
So,
There used to be a house there and it burned down a few years ago, and now they're just, why he's bringing in all this dirt, I have no idea. But my leach field,
could you just orient, is this your house? Or-
See, the
I don't-
topsoil's not cheap, I can't imagine what he's,
this is my father-in-law's, if you can, it's kind of hard to tell.
Can
I
you
don't know
show,
where all the-
where, is your house in any of these pictures?
No, because I'm right behind
Oh,
him, and my
okay.
leach field is
So
in the
you're
back.
looking through his fence?
Yeah, I'm trying to, I got some more pictures.
No, I just wanted,
This one right here would be my backyard, this right here. He's built that dirt up higher than my 4-foot fence. My leach field is right there. That's my concern. And you guys are welcome.
There's two people signed.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. And is it Ed here? Ed, her?
Yes.
Her, sir, is that?
I'm here over the same subject,
Okay.
and I've got pictures, that's an old picture.
Yeah.
He's got it probably a foot over his fence level and brought 12 more loads in today.
If I could just, not that I'm cutting you off, I don't want to cut you off, would you mind, just for the record, if I could just have you go up and introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
My name's Edward here, and I live at 5629 Webster Drive in Sylvania. And 5626 Rudyard, he brought in well over 80 loads of dirt into this lot in less than a third of an acre, I think it is. Maybe between a third and a half acre. And my leach field's in the backyard also, and it's on his fence line, it's over a foot above his fence line now. And they brought 12 more loads in today. So that's gonna make it either 5.5 or 6 foot higher than our lots. And I think it's ridiculous. I'm 71 years old and I've had 16 different houses. I never had to look at such a trash thing in my life as this. And the guy, I went over and seen the guy, and all I did was laugh. He lives over on Roan Road. His name is Cook. And I think it's ridiculous. He thinks it's a joke. Well, I don't think it's a joke anymore because I'm sick and tired of looking at it.
Yeah, I
And
don't
he
blame
keeps
you.
bringing it in every day. So something has to be done. And if it's not done pretty soon, then I'm going to do something about it with the county.
how long has this been going on?
For probably a month and a half.
Yeah, he just keeps bringing it in.
It was a real low lot. I could understand him filling it, but not over the height of his fence line. And I live right next door to Tom over here.
Oh,
He just changed the whole water pool.
oh, yeah.
I've been there for 20-some years, and it's been...
Let me show you a few of the pictures I've got on my phone here.
Darrell, you get some thoughts here together? Okay.
we've got our legal counsel here too, who might shed some light.
And I
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, of course.
I took some today. Give you an idea how much higher it is now. You can widen this.
Is it the same truck, or is there a trucking company bringing it in, or?
I think
He's getting it from ProMedica, is what I understand. I don't know how this.
It's not the same truck.
That's okay, just leave it. That's
There you go.
Okay, so he's going around looking for somebody at site who's got free filter and,
Yeah, he's getting it
that
from
drainage
ProMedica,
is
is
gonna
what I
come on that
understand.
property. You can't-
And it's way above the
John, look at
fence.
this.
I mean, you look
Yeah, that-
down the fence line, and it's probably this high above the fence. And he's got 12 more loads he brought in today. Wow. The guy's nuts.
My concern is, like I said, is the leach field.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, this is, yeah,
Something needs to be done about it before he brings any more.
yeah.
So,
where are we at?
Darrell?
Darrell?
Here's another. See, this is from my backyard at the neighbor, so you can get a better idea how,
So it's like a construction site, gee whiz,
yeah, it's not a,
It's just a vacant lot.
a third of an acre, yeah.
well, they sold a piece of property to the guy next door that's right behind me.
Like, why else would you bring
And he's got dirt up against the guy's fence, which shouldn't be. And, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't.
Darrell, can you shed some light while we're looking at
Sure.
these pictures? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has actually been going on probably pretty much all the summer, John, at least that we've been aware of it. We've had a few other people complain before these two gentlemen as well. This is a property, you might be familiar with it, there's apartments, they're actually in the city of Sylvania, right on the corner of Alexis and Rudyard, and I believe there's one house, and then this property, there was a house that burned down there probably about 3 years ago, I want to say. And it does belong to the Cooks, that's the property owners. Unfortunately, this is not really a zoning issue. We don't really have any regulations as far as dirt. I've talked to Lucas County Building Department. They don't regulate as far as bringing dirt onto a property. Lucas County engineers and Ohio EPA, if it's less than an acre, they don't address it. If the project were to be developed, it is zoned commercial, so if they were ever to develop that lot, then it'd go through project plan review, and then, of course, have to go through the Lucas County engineers, and then they would look at drainage and curb cuts and all that. There was an issue also with some debris on the property, some pieces of asphalt that I think were just dumped when the dirt was dumped there. We addressed that with the property owner, and she got those out of the way, unless there's new ones. Also, there was some high grass and weeds on the property, and we addressed that with her as well, and she took care of that.
So are you saying this is in this particular property with the dirt is in the city of Sylvania?
No, it's in the township. I'm sorry, the apartments on the corner are in the city,
Okay.
and then there's a house, and then this property.
Okay, so if your yard is flooding out another person's yard and you can't use your toilets because you can't flush your toilets with your septic system, that's clearly, is that a health department issue that, is Tom was talking about?
It's my understanding it would be a civil matter between property owners. I don't know if the health department would get involved with something like that or not.
I think they'd only get involved with a leach field.
Well, that's what, that's what happened, their leach field would flood out.
Well,
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
That's what we're worried about too.
Me too, I'd be worried too.
Cleaning up those 4 inches of water in my basement just this summer, pulling up filling. Yeah, it's a foot above the 4-foot fence. It's just, yeah. That's at least 5 feet in the air. And the dirt, he's got 12 feet below that.
City or township can just do something like that.
John?
If a property owner does what this gentleman, the Cooks have done, and change the natural flow of water, that's a civil matter between the property owners. That happens with, I won't say a lot of frequency, but it does happen. So if he has changed, or if the property owner, the Cooks have changed the way the water flows on that land, these gentlemen would have a private cause of action against them. It's not a violation of the township zoning, though. I don't disagree with what he's done is incorrect. The only problem is they're asking for the township to do something, and we're having a difficult time thinking of where this comes under the jurisdiction of the township. I don't think it does. I certainly will meet with Darrell. We can look through the zoning resolution again, but offhand, we can't, and this is not the first time a property owner has changed the way water is flowed, because we looked at this issue before. It's not a zoning issue. It's not something that a township can address. If he dumps like concrete or those kinds of things, kind of debris, we can deal with that. If there's other kinds of debris, there's regular statutes that allow townships to do with that, but strictly dumping dirt and changing the flow of water, the way the natural water flows, is not a township zoning issue.
So as messed up as we all agree upon that this is not a good thing, they would need to retain an attorney to help.
Yeah, as you know, township zoning is strictly regulated by the state. There's a state statute. You can only do what the state statute allows you to do, and it's narrow. So we cannot stray, we cannot say just because we don't like the way this is, it's unsightly, it's unfair, it's not good, and that's, they may all be true, but the state zoning statutes don't allow townships to regulate that.
Don't we have some guidelines in terms of if I wanted to put a mound around my property, that mound could only be 3 feet tall with shrubs or fence only, again, an additional 3 feet tall? I mean, isn't there, because I know I've had some residents call me on that same issue several years ago, and I wonder if that would be an avenue we could pursue them against or something. I mean, at 5 feet tall, we're getting pretty darn high.
It's a good thought.
Well, I mean, Darrell and I will certainly, we'll go through the resolution again and see if we can find something that can, with good faith, be pursued through the zoning violation.
Yeah.
It will not be easy, but we'll look. Well, I'm certainly willing to look. I would agree with these gentlemen that I would be unhappy too. And we'll look and see what we can do. But I just wanted to caution you and caution the property owners here that this will be difficult through township zoning. It's just not designed for this kind of situation. But we'll try.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to have you guys go through but you sound like you got a great case.
These guys know that that's our problem.
Yeah, you know what, and just to let you know, that's our legal counsel, John Burrell, sorry.
Well, the
Yeah.
original load that he brought in, there was like 24 loads of clay that he originally put on the base, and now he's putting dirt on top of it, so the clay.
Choking off the water, right. So,
Water table.
right,
Have you
Because
talked
it
to the
doesn't soak
Plays
in
it
the clay,
right.
so it soaks into our property.
absolutely.
What are their intentions for the property, or what?
What she told me is that they were raising it up because they want to sell it. It's commercially zoned, and they were prepping it, I guess.
Do they own the contiguous property next to it that would lead them into the?
No. He just owns that one lot, and there's a house on one side, and the guys,
And then a
the other
vacant
side,
lot.
the guy that has gardens and stuff.
They own the lot.
They have bought part of the property, so he's got less than a half acre. So he can't have a septic tank, right?
Yeah.
Or leach field, so the only thing he can do is put commercial, and that's what he's thinking about, but he hasn't yet.
As far as the height of the, like you were saying about the mounding, we don't really have regulations for mounding per se. For fences and walls we do, and, well, like say a corner house can't really put a mound in the right of way that would obstruct the visibility. Unfortunately, this isn't a corner house, otherwise maybe it'd be a little easier to deal with at least that portion of the dirt pile.
So there's nothing with changing the natural water flow? I would think that's where the issue would be.
Not,
People act-
as I understand it, not if it's under an acre. State EPA and Lucas County engineers.
Put a clay underneath, and that's changing the water level right there.
I understand. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, sir.
Yeah, I'm sick about it, the fact that you guys are having to deal with this.
Clay will not absorb water.
Right, you're right.
It goes on our property.
You're right.
How wide is this lot? Do you know, Darrell?
Yeah.
I couldn't answer that.
Hey,
I want to hazard a guess 50 feet,
I would
but,
say 80.
yeah, I mean, I was going to say, yeah, maybe more. Well, that's true.
Yeah, hold on.
It could be closer to 80.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to sit here and try to convince you guys that we could do something differently, or look at our guidelines and do something, I think Mr. Burrell said it best was, and I hate to have you guys even go down this path, but you're gonna have to find an attorney. I think you got a great case. I'm not an attorney, but, it sure looks like you guys have got a real presentable case here, and,
Well, it's
yeah,
his neighbor also.
yeah, no, yeah,
There's 3 lots right there.
sure, absolutely. But I selfishly, I say, get on the horn now, so when the water table does
I
go,
got back there with my mower, and
Yeah.
my snow blower, and all
Sure.
that, and then if it floods,
well, when that water table goes up over there, when that water table goes up and your water's flooding, I think, I would highly recommend you maybe getting some counsel sooner than later, so you're not dealing with this in the fall when the water table comes up. But, yeah, I wish we had a better answer for you guys.
see, I just bought the house last October, and, the guy that had it before me said he never had any problem with flooding, but I ended up with 4 inches of water because of this guy. Yeah, in my basement, so.
All right, well, guys, thanks for your comments.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I wish I had better answers for you, but thanks.
All right.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Excuse me, is there a homeowners association there by any chance? Okay. I thought if there was, maybe there'd be some hope there. I don't know what.
You throw them a price, buy it out from them. You never know. File suit against them and then offer them the price.
Yeah. It could cost them more to get that out of there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It costs a lot to get it out there. And I just thought maybe there'd be an issue with some change in the water flow.
That'd be nice if you'd have to haul it back out, it costs them before you cut it.
Right. Well, Tom and Ed, thank you so much again. We appreciate your
He
comments.
thinks it's a joke now, but he doesn't. It's like you went and see him.
Every dog has his day in the sun. You guys will have good luck.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep, yeah.
Thank you. Next up is the road service. Rob, monthly report.
Evening monthly report for July, page 1 there. The road department crews are finishing up a lot of their construction for the curb and ramp repairs. We did receive our new F550, replacing the 2001 F550. That vehicle will work out very nice for us for the next 10 years or so. We did get our summer fill, 600 tons, and we locked in our winter rate. The cost came in, it looks like it's going to be approximately $21.25 cheaper per ton for the winter cost. So that's a realization of about $38,250 from the summer to the winter tonnage cost. We continued our roadside mowing and ditch clearing, and we did another round of street sweeping through the curbed areas, height and site trimming. The service department continues to do miscellaneous repairs and some major repairs on some of the road vehicles. We replaced some tires on the skid steer, a complete round of tires, and we had some major repairs on truck 23's bed structure. Page 2, the OPWC resurfacing project has begun. It's underway. Meyer Drive, if you've been through there, you can see has its course lay, and they're on schedule to complete this next week. Then they'll be moving into the resurfacing. They're doing the milling now on the Cobblestone and the Pace Setter Boulevard area out off of Sylvania Met. And so that will be getting its course in the next day or so, and then the finished course hopefully before the holiday. We finished up our 2015 curb repair project. We come in a little under budget. We completed that, and with a $13,384 savings. We'll take that and hopefully apply that to additional infrastructure repairs. And the Burnaby Storm Sewer Project, which is the Honora, Jolly, and Inland dead ends off of Brent, that will begin this month as well. And that should facilitate drainage in that area. Some other programs, the crack seal program, we have one location left to do. Once they move out of the area of the Cobblestone area, we've got a few roads back there, and then that will be complete as well. And then we continue our traffic sign upgrade with some of the 2013 grant funding that we received. That's all I have.
I know the Northbrook ditch went very well, and back in my neighborhood, and I get so many compliments of what a great job you guys did and how fantastic it looks. You guys are very professional, and with all the water we had during the summer, when it came all at once. I know it had to be a difficult project, but you guys did a great job, and it hasn't gone unnoticed by a lot of people. So
thank you very much. I attribute that to Steve Kessler, the foreman. He's out there every day, and the guys. We've got a lot of talented members on our team, and they do a great job every day.
Looks great.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Fire department, does anybody have any questions for fire? Fire, do you have any? Police, anything for the police? You have any? Nope. Okay, next up is on the administrator We have Deb Cheney from SCAT who wants to address the board on a couple issues. Deb?
Thank you. Deb Cheney from Sylvania Community Action Team. My address for work is 4747 North Sylvania Road. I just wanted to, as a concerned citizen and also as a member of the Sylvania community, felt it was important that we take a look at the fact that there's going to be an issue on the ballot in November, issue number 3, which is going to be sponsored by Responsible Ohio, to have marijuana be on the ballot for individuals to vote on, both medically and recreationally. And that in itself is a big concern for our youth and our community. But one of my big concerns that I brought to the city council and to bring to you at the township is like, what is our community going to look like? If this passes, there's going to be 1,000+ outlets that are going to be stores that can make marijuana available if that person if that store has the license, and they can be put in anywhere within our communities. That's not going to be. It cannot be within 1,000 feet of our schools, our churches, or playgrounds. So what about those other places that are vacant? If they're near successful businesses, how will that affect them? How will that affect if it's a family-friendly, kid-friendly type of business? I think we need to look at that for the safety and the welfare of our community. Lessons learned from Colorado is that only half of the revenue that they say is going to be coming in is actually what they received. They also had businesses that complained because there was marijuana shops that were set up and it drove away their businesses. A hotel was one of them, and other businesses because of families that were hesitant to be around those particular businesses that were selling marijuana products. They can sell the marijuana that can be smoked. They can sell marijuana that can be used in edibles, such as cookies, candies, soda pops, sugar cereals, all sorts of things that are not going to be regulated by the federal government because marijuana is illegal federally. So the people that are going to regulate that are these 10 commissioners that have put their money in financing it to get their 600,000 plus valid signatures for it to be on the ballot. So what do we want our community to look like? This is just one of the pieces that I'm uncomfortable with, along with many others, because our whole focus is for our safe and healthy community, especially with our kids, not to be involved with alcohol and drugs that are going to compromise their best abilities. And so when you decrease the harm of a substance, you're going to increase the use of it because we are making it less risky and less harmful. So I think, I'm asking you to look at the ordinances that you have with your zoning. Is there some room that we can be proactive instead of being reactive? I'll share with you some resources that I have for each of you that talk about the effects that it could have on our community, our mental health of our kids, the education of our kids, because how it compromised their ability to learn. Also our businesses, how are they going to be working with these concerns if this is passed. And then also how Hamilton County in Ohio had addressed this. So to be proactive instead of being reactive, because if it's passed, we can't have an amendment with any of our zonings that would affect them because it would be showing prejudice against that kind of a business. So I ask you to consider looking at what you have in our zoning ordinances for a business that could compromise the kind of community we want to have, that people are going to perceive that we have, and also could affect the health and safety of our community, and especially our kids.
All right, thank you, Deb. Appreciate you spending time to come here tonight.
Okay, thank you. I will give you each a packet that I put together. It's just a smattering of what I have, but it gives you some of the talking points.
I think we all understand Deb's concern about this ballot issue. I had John Burrell come out here tonight to kind of give you what we can and can't do, once again, townships being a creature of the state of Ohio. So John, if you want to kind of just address.
Well, I would be interested in seeing what Hamilton County did, but
the initiative, which is a citizens' initiative, it patterned itself a lot after the casinos. There's 10, they would argue that they're not monopolies, but there's 10 places that it can be grown. One is in Lucas County. There'll be about 1,100 stores based on population. I think one area can be added every 4 years to grow. And so they've got a pretty tight control over it. And they did, it's a constitutional amendment, of course, so it's very difficult for local governments to restrict that. They did put a restriction. I mean, you can't, it's going to be difficult to use zoning. You may be able to use other kinds of laws, depending on who's hanging around the places, and if there's, and certainly police, if there's people out front who are maybe publicly intoxicated or things of that nature. But restricting where the stores goes, other than the limitations that Deb mentioned, 1,000 feet within, I think it's churches, schools, daycare centers, playgrounds, things of that type, will be difficult to do. It's a very well-written amendment if you favor it. They were very, very careful and very, very tight on how they restricted it. They even restricted, there's going to be a marijuana control commission that Deb mentioned. They even limited its power. They only give it certain power. So even the group that they're forming themselves, they restricted its power too. So, and unfortunately, I shouldn't probably say unfortunately, but it's in the Constitution. So it's very difficult for a township or a municipality for that matter to do anything. But I would be interested in seeing what Hamilton County did. And certainly as these things, assuming it passes, assuming that these things open up, certainly the police could take a better look at it and see what's going on. This is what I'm saying, liquor establishments and things of that type. And there'll be 1,100. It's hard to know how they'll be dispersed. And I'm sure there'll be some people who want to come out here, obviously. But it will be I hate to be Mr. Known today, but it will be difficult for a township and a municipality to regulate it unless there's other kinds of illegal activity going on. Now, sometimes when you have illegal activity going on, perhaps related to the marijuana, but not directly in terms of its sale, you might be able to close a place down because of other kinds of nuisances. That's a hard road to go. But I just want to be a little realistic in knowing that if this amendment does pass, it will be difficult for any local government to restrict it too much.
Thanks for all the good news, John.
Yeah, it's got Mr. Note. That's what lawyers do. We're anchors on people, I was once told. We're just anchors.
Issue 3, right?
It's issue 3. It's issue 3. And for the last...
Another issue also addressing it as well?
There's another issue, well, there's a Toledo municipality issue. There's an issue that deals with outlawing this kind of monopolies. And again, the opponents would argue it's not a monopoly, but the same thing they did with casinos. You can only have 4. It's an amendment put on by the state legislature to prohibit that from happening again. And I think there's another marijuana amendment that, I'm not quite sure what it does because it hasn't got much publicity, but it kind of goes along with this. It maybe puts on different kinds of restrictions. But for 2-3 years, every Wednesday, the marijuana supporters demonstrate outside my office window, including today. I guess they moved it to Tuesday. So it's interesting. It's interesting. They've learned how to gather a crowd. There's quite a crowd down there today. But it's interesting to watch those groups and how they've changed. It's gone from what I would say older kind of people to much younger people now. Today they were almost all what I would consider very young people. Years ago when this first started, they were older people. By older, I mean like my age. Those are around the 60s. But that has changed quite a bit. I mean, that's a very, very different kind of crowd that's down there now. And I watch them every week right outside my window. But as it develops, we'll take a look at it. Again, I would be interested in seeing what Hamilton County does. And we'll keep an eye on what other...
What I included in here in the packet was what the ballot language would look like, and then also what Hamilton County has done, and several different other fact sheets that just give you examples of what's going to happen. So, I would say mention within businesses and youth mental health, and then I gave you the fact sheet for you. I gave you one of our last newsletter on that sheet of that. It had a lot of different bullet points that were pulled from lessons learned from Colorado and Washington State, and how the regulations are by those commissioners that are part of that. Those groups, because it's not really regulated, there's no federal regulation, how things can be produced. And as far as the match, the regulations for the health safety for our communities. And this is, Ohio was the first state to have both medical, medicinal, and recreational marijuana. Everybody else goes on municipal route first, and then
Thanks, Deb. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is a resolution 15102. Last meeting, I talked about how the various different townships and municipalities in the area are designating Saturday, October 31st, the city of Sylvania, and a couple others. So this is a resolution officially designating Halloween as October 31st, which is a Saturday from 6 to 7:30 in the township.
I'll offer resolution 15-102, set the date for October 31st for trick or treat.
Second?
Roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Next up, I have a resolution 15103. It's accepting a street lighting petition and sets the date for the hearing. This is for King Acres, and the date of the hearing will be October 6th at 5 p.m.
I'll offer resolution 15103, lighting petitions.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
My next one is Resolution 15104. As you recall, at the last meeting, I talked about how the city of Sylvania is going to be updating their water study, and they're asking various area municipalities and townships to help contribute toward that study. They're asking for, I think the study's $100 and some thousand. They're asking for a $5,000 contribution from the township to be involved in that study. Once again, we have many township residents that are part of the city water system, plus this will also be a look at as a possible regional second water intake. So if we ever had problems like we did last year, there would be a second intake that everybody in the region could use. And this would negotiate, give me the authority to negotiate the contribution and what terms and what we'd get out of it.
And this is an update of the water study that was done years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do they expect to find on this one? I mean, this is their third study.
Well, and I'm not the expert on it, but I know one of the things that's been talked about is the city of Toledo has shifted the cost of their water system to the suburbs. They're not willing to, I'll say, have the rate increases for their own citizens. So, and I'm not sure, but somewhere around 50% of the revenue from the water department in the city of Toledo comes from the suburbs. And now, with that rate going up, and now they're talking about even more of an increase, there's going to be a point where it's going to be, I'll say, more efficient to have a regional water system out here than be paying the city of Toledo these enormous rate increases. And so I think this study is going to say, look at, once again, I'm not the expert, how many people are out here, how many people would be on the system, how much revenue would it generate, and as you saw in the thing I gave you from the mayor, is there's going to be some point where the city's rates go like this, and initially our system would be more expensive, but at some point, it's going to be more efficient and cheaper to have our own system out here, and I think that study will be part of looking at the number of people, possibly at what point do we say that we should have a regional system out here, and I'm including everybody out here, not just the city of Sylvania.
Why isn't Temacog taking this and leading it? I mean, why is it city of Sylvania?
John, do you have?
Temacog is doing a regional water study with the city of Toledo and the Board of County Commissioners. That's to take the system we have now and make it regional. This one is a study to see if Sylvania could afford, over long term, the way to plot the rate increases, and it will be a higher cost now, but at some point that will crisscross if you look at the historic rate increases. So Sylvania's thinking about the second source of water also to Lake Erie. It's just in Luna area. So there's two studies going on. And the mayor, I've attended a couple of talks that he's given the mayor of Sylvania. And his thinking is we're still tied to one source of water with the city of Toledo. And the problem is the raw water storage is Lake Erie. They don't have any secondary storage by the plant. So if that pipeline goes down, or the low pressure station, everybody's down, Toledo and the suburbs. And we saw that happen last year. It was a different reason. The pumps weren't down, but the algae was the problem for their treatment. So everybody went down. Other regional systems have more than one source because they put water systems together for the region. In our area, it's always been Toledo and Oregon. In the Northwest District, that's Wood County. So it's a district separated from Wood County. So we have, well, and then there's Bowling Green. So we got 4 different water treatment plants. Toledo doesn't allow to connect the treated water. And so even if the regional system gets formed, which has been talked about, I know personally, over 40 years, we've been talking about this, never has happened. And that's the study that Timotok's looking at. I think we should support Sylvania in its effort because they want to be part of the regional system. But because it's never happened in this area, I think Sylvania's plan is if the figures show that we can build, not we, the city can build a separate system and still be part of the regional system, it would give us a second source of Lake Erie water to the regional system. And so far, the commissioners are supporting both studies. The commissioners have agreed to participate with the city. Maumee has agreed to participate with the city of Sylvania. Perrysburg and Waterville, who just connected, they're going across the river to Bowling Green, is actually participating with this second study. And I would like to personally support that. I think in long range, it makes sense for us to have a regional system, and it makes sense to have 2 sources of treated water.
I'm a little concerned that it's not 2 sources, though. I mean, it's Lake Erie.
Well, it's 2 different locations.
It is different locations, but is the city committed to that? I mean, have they looked at deep water wells or other sources for the water?
My understanding is that it's not just Lake Erie. They're also going to look at deep wells. And by the way, they're using their criteria was any consultants that have ever worked, for instance, the ones you know, Jones and Henry, Finkbeiner, well, they were bought out. But all those firms, they want somebody that's never been involved in the Toledo water studies in the past. And I don't know the name of the firm, but they have gotten 3 proposals, and their budget was $75,000. But it turned out to be $105,000. They're trying to get some help with the extra cost.
If we do contribute, will they stop annexing based on water rights?
I don't know how, this isn't changing water.
You know, before we hand over money, it's best to negotiate, as I always say. So
You and Donald Trump.
Well,
big negotiators. That's good.
You know, it has been a sore spot. I mean, how many parcels have they annexed this year?
Over time, it's been, I'd say,
Yes.
well, just on that one over there, it was 18, 19 parcels.
Yeah,
off of
Whiteford.
And there's a couple, I'd say in the last couple of years, it's probably been,
But I'm looking at it as the township residents we have. All we want to have, first of all, we should have a regional system, and 2, we should somehow counteract these costs that we pay. We used to be the highest rate out here. We no longer are the highest, but we're right up there. Because our water comes from Toledo with a surcharge, then the county adds on to bring it to Sylvania, and then Sylvania adds on for their distribution system. So
How much does
I
the
think
city
we
add on
need-
to our residents when they buy it from the city? Do we know that?
I do not know.
I don't know the rate. We could check that.
I can get,
We
I mean,
might
there-
even We might have that.
It's on that graph that
I think
was
it's on
given
that.
last month, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in that packet. Let me take a look. Yeah, here it is.
Upside down.
Lucas County customer pays $97.36. Sylvania customer pays $123.64. I'm not sure this is based on 3,000 cubic feet of water per quarter. This shows all the rates in the area.
The top right, I think, shows the add-ons, John, with the city water bill plus,
Okay.
plus the surcharge. It gives you that total.
So they mark it up 24% or so. You know what, I'm all for a second water source. I think it's a good thing. I don't know, I think I want to negotiate this thing a little bit better before we just hand them a check and ask them to do a study that's going to be in their favor and not ours. So again, I don't want to slow the process down, and I certainly do want to be involved, but I want to make sure that our residents do get well represented and that we know what our money is going for and not just another study, which seems to happen a lot in this region.
Well, before, this authorizes me to negotiate. What I can do is, before I sign anything or give them a check, I can bring the document, put them in your mailbox, or if it's at a meeting, so you can read exactly what we're getting for our $5,000.
So we can authorize you to negotiate and then maybe approve it at a separate time?
If that's the way you want to go, this lease is letting them know that we're interested in...
We're very interested, but we don't want to,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, aside from all, you know, I listened to a conversation that was interesting because I thought at a meeting that the mayor held when they originally did one of their first studies, I think in the late 90s or something, it was too expensive to do and they just couldn't but the mayor said had they actually implemented it and followed through, and as the cost, you know, their cost was up here to do it, and it was out, you know, everyone paid a lot, but then he was saying that as the costs have risen from Toledo, and in 2015, coincidentally this year, it would have met, and we would have probably then been paying, you know, if their projections were right, which I thought was really interesting, because now it'll probably be 2030 or something, but had they done it then, you know, but it just wasn't, I guess, financially feasible, but, so it's interesting to, that's...
You know projections, Dave. I project to be making a lot more money by now, but somehow I'm here, so.
But interesting, you know, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone make a motion?
So can we offer a motion?
I'll offer motion 15104 to authorize our administrator to negotiate a contribution towards sustaining the city's water study.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
The last one I have is just a review, and once again, if you take no action, that means that the liquor license will be transferred. This is at 6060 Renaissance Place. As you know, there's a new restaurant down there, the American City Diner. This is a transfer of the license from the old owners to the new ones. And I have letters from the chief of police and the fire department. They have no problems with the transfer. So you don't have to take any action if you're comfortable with it. New one?
Oh, it's not a transfer?
Okay, thank you, Susan. It's a new liquor permit for the American City Diner. I guess the old one went with the owners, maybe they're opening up another place. But once again, I have letters from the police and fire that they do not have a problem. Hearing no objection, the next thing I have is the fiscal officer, and Mr. Simcoe, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I can do them if we want. I can be very brief in that, since we have an executive session and that coming up, and that, I believe. We just have a resolution 15-105, appropriation from unencumbered funds. No.
I'll offer resolution 15-015, appropriation from unencumbered balance.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And number 15-106, it's a transfer of appropriations. And most of them are kind of smaller, just moving money around a little bit.
I'll offer resolution 15-016, transfer of appropriations.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And lastly, for an advancement of funds, resolution number 15-107, and again, smaller sums of money having to do with the bulletproof vest grant and the EMS grant fund.
I'll offer resolution 15-107, advance of funds.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Nobody signed, other than the two gentlemen that we had already addressed it. I request a motion to go into executive session for personal benefits. It should be a quick executive session.
I'll move to go into executive session for personnel benefits.
At 5:51.
Yep.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there was a work on Alexis, so traffic was backed up, and then, are all those cars parked on Plantation for that worker?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He's
crazy.
got a lot of work.
I've been there 3
We ready? All right.
Been 4 to 5 times.
We're back from,
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to come back out of executive session at 6:08.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 6:09 and 34 seconds.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Thank you. All right, thanks, everybody.
That